Well, it's now time we go straight to the dailies and see what they have for us today. A lovely Tuesday, the 16th day of September 2025. Well, for review today, we have four papers. We have The Punch, The Vanguard, we have The Nation, and also The Guardian will guide us through all the papers. But you do know I always enjoy starting with The Punch, and let's see what The Punch has as a major one, especially as we talk about some major issues confronting us as a people. And on The Punch this morning, the leading story reads, we're talking about the issue of the food crisis. And well, you do know recently the federal government has ordered to ensure that there will be a reduction in the prices of food. So no surprise, the Punch seems to have this as a major one on its front page. And on the Punch this morning, the leading story says, farmers fault federal government order as agro import hits 2.2 trillion. We're talking about food price crash. You could still remember President Bola Ahmed Tinubu said he gave a directive for that to happen. Order will not work. Federal government must subsidize transport, agri sector, and this according to AFAN, Millers. Federal government to distribute about 2,000 tractors to farmers. Well, that would be a very good one if it happens. But I'll just tell you to get more of that story on page 24 of The Punch. Let's see if we take some other leading stories also at the top man side of The Punch this morning. And the major one on page 2 is Tinubu Fubara and foreign troops IBAS set for handover. And also on page 23, Forex inflow, reserve boost Naira to 1,497 per dollar. And now while still talking about the issue of school crisis, SANU and NAS issue strike notice over unpaid allowance. And the information reaching us right here on Viewpoint is that strike might commence on the 22nd of this month. That's on Monday. But anyway, I'll just tell you to read that story on page 21 of The Punch newspaper. Presidency fires back as Article warns of revolution is also on page 21. And let's see if we take some other stories just beneath the picture of the day and see if we truly wrap this up on The Punch this morning. And a major one there on page 23 is federal government suspend controversial 4% import duty levy. And the other will be cheering news for many Nigerians. But what's not cheering? Nepal protests, 2 Nigerian inmates rearrested after jailbreak. And you can get that on page 4 and 5. A story you get on page 7 is Southeast behind as Southwest maintains voter registration or pre-registration lead. And it's a leading one there. But what's a leading one on the dailies and funny enough on the front page of the daily is that Dangote vows refinery will not fall to oil mafia. And whoo, so we do have mafias. Well, anyway, just get more of that story on page 23, and you can see him ready with about 1,000 trucks that are ready to distribute fuel to every part of the country. You can see him, his daughter, and other major critical stakeholders of the Dangote refinery. Well, that's the much you can take from The Punch.
Let's see what The Nation has for us this morning. The lead story reads, Presidency, APC slam Atiku over hunger. A hardship alarm, and the rider says ex-vice president's low score for federal government out of touch with positive developments. You can read more of that story on page 2 of the paper, just slightly above the leading story. Inflation slides on stable economic growth, low food prices, and the rider says CPI dropped to 20.12% for 5th consecutive month, and that's on page 2 of the paper. Let's go to the top mass. A judge returns motion by Canon to Chief Judge for reassignment. You can read more of that on page 4. Dangote Refinery creates 24,000 jobs with 1,000 trucks rollout. Wow, that's a huge one on page 3 of The Nation. A Tinubu court's short vacation expected back today. Wow, great news. That's on page 2 of the paper. Why weak Qatar bridge must be demolished by federal government. You can read more of that on page 5 of the paper. Let's see what we have even at the side marks. A joint tax board OK's NIN RC as tax IDs. You can read that story on page 2 of the paper. A Senate plenary or express court order to determine Natasha's return. That is on page 4 of the paper. Let's see the picture of the day. You can see Minister of State for Works, Mohammed Goruyu, and other dignitaries during the second Railway Conference and Expo 2025 in Abuja yesterday. Well, that's all we're taking this morning on The Nation. Let's see what The Guardian has this morning. The lead story says money illusion fuels a fiscal crisis as state debt deficits soar. That's on page 6 of the paper. The top mass 2027 Nigerians won't accept technical glitch excuses. PDP wants INEC. Well, that's on page 3. A federal government suspends a customs FOB levy on imports. That is on page 4. How our refineries saved Nigerians' oil sector by Dangote. That's on page 3 of the paper. Let's see what we have at the side mass. A federal government's relocation of roaming cattle to grazing reserves. That is on page 29 of the paper. A $4.5 billion fraud trial. A court grants Emefiele's request for forensic examination. That is on page 4 of the paper. Let's see what we have at the bottom mass. International Day, Nigerians' democracy faces grave threats from hunger, corruption. Atiku, CSOs warns. That's on page 6 of the paper. Nigeria Medical Association rejects salary cuts for Lagos doctors, faults federal government on funding. That is on page 5 of the paper. Adeleke is devastated, laments as flood ravages Osun community. That is on page 5 of the paper. Peace deal collapses as bandits abduct 40 in Zamfara. That's a sad one, though. You can read more of that on page 29 of the paper. A stable exchange rate. Food prices drive down inflation to 20.12%. That business story is on page 15 of the paper. And the graph of the day, well, that's basically talking about how Nigerian states are earning more money on paper through FAAC and the internally generated revenue, but in reality they are sinking deeper into debt and fiscal crisis because money illusion marks economic weakness. Well, that's all we're taking this morning on The Guardian. Up next is The Vanguard.
And for review today, the leading story on the Vanguard newspaper, which seems to be screaming, and also on major other ones. Bandits adopt 14 Zamfara mosques as peace deal collapses. Truth foil multiple terrorists attacking Christina Kendi Zamfara. Gunmen kidnap Catholic priests in Kogi. All of that very disturbing story. You can get on page 5. Well, let's leave that very unfortunate story and see if we take some other leading stories. But just at the top side of the Vanguard this morning. Our plant ended 50 years of fuel queues in Nigeria. Well, these are credited to Dangote Refinery on page 20. No glitches, no excuses. PDP wants INEC on 2027. It's a screamer on page 48. Inflation rate drops to 20.12% in August. While cheering it sounds on page 19. My achievement will speak for me in 2027. Well, I'm not the one saying that, but Governor Idris of Kebbi seems to be saying that on the mining we know. The hospitals are in shambles. But anyway, let's see if we take some other leading stories, especially at the side mass of the Vanguard. Tinubu cuts 10 days vacation return to Abuja today. And already, Messi saying, Papa, you. 70 CSOs to National Assembly. Summon IBAS to give account in Rivers. And well, you can check more of that on page 14. It is all God. Muslim on winning silver 2025 World Championship. And anyway, you can see how with Keith that she complained about some days ago. But anyway, you can get more of that story on the Sporting Parts page 55. 2009 agreement, Sanu Nasu to shut down varsity September 22nd. We told you earlier. National Assembly to Natasha allows Senate court play constitutional roles. It's a screamer on page 8. Presidency Atiku Bika over hunger, looming revolution claims. It's on page 8. ABC to court, you have no power to sack Mark-led ESCO. And page 9 has more of that story. But what's the picture of the day? Just similar to what we have also on the Punch, is the Dangote refinery with the 1,000 trucks that are eager and ready to distribute fuel on little or no charge. And would that indeed revolutionize the fuel distribution network in Nigeria? Well, only time will tell. But I need to tell you, that's the much you can take from the dailies. But let us see if we look at some leading stories before we go and really get that needed break. We need to pay our bills also. But talking about paying the bills, well, it looks as if all seem not to be well with the Zamfara state government and also the bandits. And the question still remains, are really they signing peace pact with bandits? We felt that it has been in the news, but nobody has come out to either clarify the stand of either the Zamfara state government or other governments that have had negotiations with the bandits. But what we can tell you, or the papers have said already, is that it looks as if that peace deal has collapsed. 40 were kidnapped yesterday, all at the mosque. Looks as if there is no peace when there was a peace deal. Mercy.
The truth is, I don't know why they're actually signing this whole peace deal.
It's surprising.
Because who are they negotiating with?
Bandits.
So why not just arrest? That's my question. Why not just arrest? Why are you trying to negotiate with the bandits? And now you think you've settled all of it, and then it has finally collapsed. These people will keep requesting. That's one thing I know with people like this. They'll just keep requesting, and you can never settle them. They can never be satisfied.
That's why some international countries like the United States of America never, and I say they never negotiate with terrorists. But how far will this peace deal go? Well, anyway, it has collapsed, and should the government take a different stand? It's another big question. But another major question is the issue of debt. Yes, we'll be having it critically on dialogue today as we look at the issue of our foreign debt and how it has increased over the years, with most of us owing huge debt on account of the country's debt. But irrespective, just like on the Guardian this morning, it looks as if states feel they are having more, but in all reality, they are running deep into debt. Mercy.
Okay, I'm always laughing when it comes to a foreign debt issue. You know why? Because the other day, the president was saying that we are no longer owing, we've met our revenue for the year and all of that. And now they're coming to tell me that an individual is owing close to 700,000 naira. What did I buy?
Well, anyway, I know she'll be buying nothing on account of that because she's already indebted on account of Nigeria.
Like it's actually terrible for the president to come out to say we are not owing, and then we are saying again that we are owing. I don't understand. Why is he talking from both sides of his mouth?
No, the truth about it, he feels we've meet our revenue target. Now, the funny thing about this debt ceiling is just like it was also in the Guardian.
Yeah,
we seem to be making more.
More, exactly.
Or rather than we having more in our pocket, we seem to use that more to pay already existing debt, either the interest or the capital.
And then we keep borrowing.
And we keep borrowing because you need to also return monies you borrowed, or you will not be
to borrow more.
So all we're doing, we're now making a whole lot. We've hit our revenue target for the year,
okay,
already, which is no lie.
Okay.
But that revenue money now is being used to settle pre-existing debts before now. So we have little or nothing to live on. So we need to go back again and borrow from the lenders.
The money we've made, why don't we use it to settle our issue instead of paying debts and borrowing more debt?
Because the creditors will come for you. The creditors will come if you do not pay. And there's every likelihood that you might not be getting. Funny enough, just in July, the National Assembly approved a $21 billion debt request from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, all in the name of providing key infrastructures. That's to our debt ceiling. We also do know just in March, $1.08 billion was given by the World Bank to deal with the issue of poor food nutrition and other basic educational requirements of this country. So our debt ceiling seems to be increasing by the day. With all information we have, we are using almost 61% of our revenue generation
to pay back debts.
So that's where we are at the moment.
It's terrible. It's terrible. So, okay, what if we had not met our revenue? How do they pay these debts?
Then
they'll borrow to pay.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Well, interesting will sound, but honestly, it's a sour taste in our mouth, and one will be looking at critically on that one. So what we'll do now is go on that break, so we do not owe debt. We'll pay for our bills, and when we come back, we do know dialogue will be next, right here on Viewpoint on